monarchs are patriarchal. There's a reason why throughout history we used the last names of men and never included the last names of women. It wasn't about what you've been taught through their schools, not their being the monarchical schools, but through the schools of them, to make you think that is wrong. You see, the guardians of this grail were not around to protect a cup from the crucifixion that collected the blood of Jesus, but a bloodline. You go, yeah, we know, and those guys are corrupt. Don't believe that. It's so that if they, let me back up. The guardians of the grail are not here to protect a cup so that they that live as a group of people can be found out to be bad, but rather the guardians of a grail is different than you think. They, the monarchs, are the grail. Grail in French, dividing that word using the French terminology, does not mean cup, but means bloodline. And a monarchy was used so that they that live here now, they, them, the powers that be, the ones that we always call they and them, cannot infiltrate and rule by anything less than by polluting that bloodline. And who are they that are here? The Anunnaki and the Nephilim. Now that's where I'm going, guys. Monarchical systems are very difficult to infiltrate. Eons ago, certain systems existed that actually knew and dealt with and fought, and it was common knowledge that Anunnaki were here, that Nephilim were here, and they were not good. Although taught and within their own code of justice said that if should and if they will live in peace with us, we will not kill them. But it's like asking a snake not to bite or a scorpion not to sting. They can't help it. So monarchical systems were put in place to protect mankind, to keep men safe, because it is difficult, and it can actually then protect your freedom. This is not saying that we're going to get, or that this system provides the best leadership, and far from it. We've had some jerks. But jerks does not make them Nephilim. But it's rather more than that. It's a way of securing that the leadership is not Anunnaki and is not Nephilim. It keeps them out of it, because we definitely had an ancient record that these people enslaved us. Other forms of governing that require merely a person to live on this planet in order to be in government is what we have now. This form of government is merely where a person has to be alive and walking on the planet, and when that happens, it results in the Anunnaki, Nephilim slavery that we have. The question is not who's your daddy, but rather, are you alive and walking on this planet? Well, gosh, I guess we'll make you our leader then. Have you ever asked that question? Why is it so important to know who your daddy is? Who is your daddy? On February 4th, 2010, Obama, at the National Prayer Conference, or breakfast, I should say, which was, gosh, guess when? Yesterday. He raised a question of his own eligibility for office, and he said this, that the people shouldn't be questioning his citizenship. Now, why did he bring this up? You will notice all the files are sealed that provide proof who his daddy is. This just so happens to be a problem of former President Clinton, too. Who's his daddy? There's even a question as to who Barbara Bush's father was, thus casting a doubt as to who President Bush Jr.'s granddaddy is. Don't you see a pattern here? Let me say that again. Do you see a pattern? Folks, you don't have to have the government tell you before you believe. If this even strikes a familiar chord, you better start checking quick. So, what happens when we get these aliens running our government? Well, we get laws that are not based on organic principles, but rather these codes. And these codes that rule are through do's and don'ts and the letter of the law, as opposed to the principle and the heart that you move within and use when you are in, guess what? Community. Could it be that they have a reason for using code and codes and codes and codes? Could it be they can't even and have not and cannot let principles guide them because it is something they are absolutely genetically impossible of doing? Because they cannot understand what it means to treat others as you want to be treated. They seek to rule over mankind and enslave the world as a whole, and will become their own monarchs. Haven't they become their own monarchs? They're going to try to obtain world domination by, guess what? Dissolution. The removal of races. The abolition of frontiers, the annihilation of the monarchy. And they're going to establish world republics in which they will everywhere exercise a privilege of being a citizen. Isn't that what it's all about? It's not about who your daddy is. It's about citizen. Why are we having to worry about them and who our daddy is or who their daddy is? Who's to say that all these aliens that came down are bad? Folks, I've got to tell you something. You know a stranger in the parking lot? Do you let your child go home with them? If you believe that there's a good alien, give me your child. I'm foreign. I'm an alien. You don't know me. How do you know that I won't send them off to China to be tortured? First of all, sexually sodomized and raped and then put on drugs, and if not that, then they will be put and strapped on a table, given very little, very low doses, just enough to put them under while they harvest your children's organs to be sold. Maybe they wake up, maybe they don't. Can you imagine the horror? You want that to happen? You don't know that can't happen when they're aliens you don't know. They don't want you to know that, though. There is now this, oh gosh, believe in ETs? Give me a break. They seek to overrule mankind and enslave the whole world. In this new world order, when you heard the words spoken by President Bush Sr., and the very words New World Order were spoken, they were speaking to make an announcement who they are. And so they announced that they are starting